part I like the most in the book is actually the closing.
Okay.
Because it's me musing through the character. If you remember this part, the epilogue, where Bashara Asamu was sitting,
I recall that part.
and he was reflecting. So this is Bashara Asamu after all the dust has settled, sitting outside his house. Bashara Asamu observed the people returning from the day's work as he sat in front of his compound. The men bantered, and the women sang as they expertly balanced their loads on their head without supporting them with their hands. Once they reached him and saw the Bashar himself seated, they would prostrate or kneel as custom demanded. His servants had come repeatedly to beg him to go inside the house, away from the gusts of the chilly Hamilton breeze, but he refused. The intermittent greetings of the passers-by interrupted his thoughts, but they were disturbances that he welcomed. His own thoughts were more troubled and darker. He could imagine what they saw as they passed. A shrinking old man who had once carried himself powerfully across the land, but was now a shadow of himself from his glory days. He, Asamu, was a befitting metaphor for the empire. While for him and his chiefly friends, plenty had changed over the last couple of months. For these people, their lives had largely remained the same. That sounds like Nigeria, actually.
Yeah, it does.
They woke up, went to their farms, went to the markets, cooked the same meals, and returned to sleep in their homes as their fathers had done and their fathers before them. It was always that way. The empire changed, the leaders changed, but the people went about their lives. He feared that with the news that had come from Ilorin, even the people were about to experience an upheaval, the likes of which they had never seen before. He shuddered at the thought. A vigilant servant approached him thinking the cold was now hitting him hard, but he waved her away. The Fulani now held Ilorin, and it was not in their character to stop in just one town. Afonja, the upheaval bringer himself, was dead. He shook his head ruefully. He had survived them all. They were younger, stronger, richer, more charismatic, and more cunning than him. Yet, here he was. Now though, he wished he had passed, so that he did not become the old man that witnessed the beginning of the end for the great empire that had been handed down to them intact. The great calabash that had been handed to them had now been shattered, and he wondered if they could ever put the pieces back together again. A vision of Aule shattering a ceramic dish as he cursed the empire flashed before his eyes. Maybe it had begun to work now, but he knew that it was them, the actions of men, which had brought this about. Another passerby interrupted his thoughts, and he acknowledged the greeting mechanically. He ran his hands down his facial marks. He had developed the habit after Alaafin Abiodun had proclaimed that no one could sell Oyo men in the empire. Oh, the way their shoulders were carried high in those days. Bashoroga was gone, and a new dawn in the greatness of Oyo beckoned with Abiodun. The Abaja facial marks became the mark of protection everywhere in the land. It was one of the sources of his greatest pride, a core of his identity. But it was all gone now. He closed his eyes. Vivid images of a long convoy of men, women, and children in chains flashed before his mind. Every single one of them carried the Abaja marks on their faces.